In the cold, folded dark of the North Pacific, where sunlight thins to memory and the water holds its breath, there lives a creature so strange that early sailors might have called it a monster, and they would not have been entirely wrong. It has no bones. It has 3 hearts and blue blood that carries oxygen through a body built more like a dream than an animal. It can pour itself through a gap the width of a lemon and vanish into stone as though the stone had swallowed it whole. This is the giant Pacific octopus, and its story begins, as so many great stories do, in stillness. Along the rocky reefs of the Salish Sea, where kelp forests rise like cathedral columns toward a ceiling of broken light, there are dens that do not look like homes. Piles of crab shells, the husks of clams, the scattered wreckage of 100 meals. This is a midden, the octopus's own record of its hunger, kept just outside its door. And in the shadow behind that door, 2 eyes watch, patient as the tide. To find one is to understand almost immediately that you are looking at something ancient in its logic, but utterly alien in its form. Its skin ripples with color before it moves at all, a warning or perhaps a thought made visible. Beneath that skin lie thousands of pigment cells called chromatophores, each one a tiny sac of color the animal can expand or contract in an instant, so that its entire body becomes a canvas it paints in real time. It does not simply hide, it becomes the rock. It becomes the sand. It becomes, for a heartbeat, almost nothing at all. And when it moves like water remembering how to be solid. Because it has no skeleton, nothing but a hard parrot-like beak at the center of its 8 arms, the giant Pacific octopus can compress its entire body through any opening larger than that single unforgiving point. Divers have watched a creature the size of a large dog flow through a crack no wider than a coin, folding itself into darkness with the unhurried calm of something that has never once needed to hurry. Each arm carries roughly 200 suckers, and each of those suckers can taste. The octopus does not merely touch the world, it savors it, reading chemical signatures in the water the way we might read a face. When it hunts, it does not chase so much as arrive. A crab moving across open sand, confident in its speed, has no warning that the boulder beside it has been counting its steps. The strike, when it comes, is sudden, a burst of arms, a cloud of ink thrown up like a curtain, and then silence, and then retreat, dragging its meal back into the dark to be consumed at leisure. It is, by almost any measure, one of the most intelligent invertebrates on Earth. In laboratories, giant Pacific octopuses have opened jars from the inside, solved mazes, and learned by simple observation to mimic tasks performed by other octopuses they were never trained to imitate. They recognize individual human faces. They have favorites and grudges. Water sprayed with quiet deliberation at researchers they seem, in some unknowable way, to dislike. And yet for all this cunning, all this strange brilliance, the giant Pacific octopus is given only a few short years to use it. Most live no more than 4 or 5 seasons before their bodies begin irreversibly to fail. The end of that short life is where the story turns from wonder towards something closer to reverence. A female, having mated only once, retreats to a hidden crevice and begins to lay her eggs, not dozens, not hundreds, but sometimes as many as 100,000, each no larger than a grain of rice strung together in long, pale garlands that she hangs from the ceiling of her den like curtains of pearl. And then she stops eating. For months, sometimes as long as half a year, she does not leave, she does not hunt. She spends her remaining strength doing one thing only, fanning oxygenated water gently over her eggs with the very arms that once wrestled crabs into submission, clearing away silt and algae with the same delicate suckers that once tasted the sea for prey. Her body grows thin, her skin, once so vivid with color, dulls and pales. She is quite literally dying in slow motion so that her children might live. It is one of the most devoted acts of parental sacrifice found anywhere in the animal kingdom, performed by a creature with no bones, no voice, and, as far as we know, no awareness that it is doing anything remarkable at all. When the eggs finally hatch, thousands of translucent hatchlings, each barely larger than a grain of rice themselves, rise together into the open water, drifting upward into a world of light their mother will never see, because by then her long vigil has ended. She dies not long after the last of them departs, her body finally spent, her den left empty for the current to reclaim. Of those thousands of hatchlings, only a tiny few will survive the perilous drift of infancy to become, in turn, the shadow behind some future crevice, the patient eyes in some dark future, the midden builder, the shapeshifter, the three-hearted ghost of the reef. The cycle asks everything and promises almost nothing, and still, generation after generation, it continues. There is something almost unbearably human in that arithmetic of sacrifice, wrapped inside a creature that could not be less human in every other way. Perhaps that is the true strangeness of the giant Pacific octopus, not the 8 arms, not the ink, not the ability to vanish through stone, but the fact that somewhere in that alien architecture of nerve and color and cold blue blood there beats something that looks from a distance remarkably like love. The reef keeps its secrets well, but every so often, if you are patient, if you let your light linger a moment longer on an empty-looking crevice, the dark will ripple, and the sea will show you one more.